Hi. My opponent brought up several good points in his stance of why colleges should not consider standardized tests when test scores and admissions. However, while some of his points were good, I do not completely agree. Firstly, my opponent's point about teachers spending too much time on ACT or SAT prep is not completely valid. In high school, teachers are often teaching what will be most pertinent to students going into college. ACT and SAT prep is one of these things. These test scores are very important, so teachers should be preparing their students for this. My opponent's point about students being more focused on test scores rather than the actual learning has no real footing, in my opinion. Whether or not a student cares about learning is different from student to student, regardless of whether or not test scores play a factor. And even if a student does have a more driven focus to achieve high test scores, instead of learning the actual material, they will most likely still have that focus regardless of standardized test scores being considered in college admissions. And also, students will have been taking tests all the way from elementary up into college and even beyond. So the pressure for high test scores has always and always will be there. The other point that my opponent made about lower income students not having as much access to ACT or SAT prep is not entirely true either. Many schools offer ACT and SAT prep classes that help prepare students for the tests. Schools also offer free programs and tutoring that all students have access to. There are also a lot of free online courses that help students prepare for the SAT and the ACT. While it is true that wealthier students will have access to more help, this will be true across the boards. Even if standardized test scores were not considered in college admissions, wealthier students would still have an automatic leg up. So regardless of SAT or SAT scores, wealthier students will have an advantage, and that is something that removing standardized test scores in college admissions will not remedy. Instead, sometimes it will harm. And finally, no students are forced to cheat. Cheating is a choice. Regardless of whether or not you had as much help as a wealthier student, cheating will often give you more negative results than positive ones. A statistic from International Center for Academic Integrity states that 95% of students admitted to participating in some form of cheating. Clearly, cheating is not limited to low-income students who are hoping for a higher score on the SAT or ACT to help them into colleges. It is something that is rampant among all students, so this is not a valid reason to consider test scores, to not consider test scores during college admissions. And I have the statistic, the little graph here. So 64 students, here we go, admitted to cheating on a test, and overall 95 admitted to participating in some form of cheating.